Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Diller for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. As you come in, be sure to come in, give us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. That way, notifications are generated and sent out to others. And for that, we say thank you so very much, family. Now, you all know I'm going to bring you the news for real, for real. I want you to listen to this very brief clip of former Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein. She is being interviewed just a few days ago. It's a podcast about no Cold War and so forth. And she begins to speak on geopolitics, specifically talking about Trump's threat of tariffs to specifically to China. Of course, China is a major player in the BRICS nations, which I'll talk about very briefly on the other side of this video. Watch this.
But in particular, the tariffs that Trump intends to impose on China, that he's campaigned on, are going to be devastating to the American economy and will greatly intensify inflation. So he's really planting the seeds of his own dysfunction and eventual demise, I think. He's going to very much undermine his political support and the condition of American workers, which is already extremely precarious, with something like 65% of all Americans living paycheck to paycheck, half of Americans really struggling to keep a roof over its head. And we know that so many people who voted for Trump were not really voting for him. They were really just voting against the neoliberal policies of the Democrats. And are particularly in very deep struggle financially. So he's going to really undermine the kind of the consensus that he needs in order to move his policies forward. So I think we will see enormous resistance here.
Okay, family. I think that was very insightful and quite to the point when Dr. Jill Stein makes it clear there that Donald Trump is going to undermine his own administration and certainly the United States by imposing these unnecessary tariffs, draconian tariffs, specifically on China, which is a huge player in the overall BRICS nations. Yes, we know recently here, as I'm reading from this, in particular, this New York Times article, where Donald Trump, president to be Donald Trump, announces 100% tariffs on all of the BRICS nations. Now, actually, I'm going to briefly read from the New York Times in just a minute, but the CBS News headline says, "Why is Trump threatening 100% tariff on the BRICS nations?" President-elect Donald Trump on November 30th threatened to slap 100% tariff on a group of 9 nations, the so-called BRICS, if they try to replace the U.S. dollar with another currency. The BRICS countries include Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, United Arab Emirates. Trump said he'll enact the tariffs if the nations either move to create a new rival currency to the dollar or back an alternative currency to replace the greenback as the world's reserve medium of exchange. It goes on to say, he said that we require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty U.S. dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful U.S. economy. Now, number one, that's outrageous. The reason it's outrageous is because the way the world turns is that everything in our country comes from other countries. And just like a lot of the United States products and services are exported into other countries. You can't go down, you can't even leave the block of your neighborhood without the items that you see around you coming from other countries. Talk black to me, somebody. So it's outrageous that when you come in, you make such a threat. And the main reason is because the United States represents the hegemon on the planet. Donald Trump, you will be the new face of that again. And most of those nations that you are threatening from the BRICS nations are part of what's known as the global south, or more appropriately, the global majority. That means that they make up the majority of the peoples of the world, and their economies are far estimated to be far larger than the United States and Europe and some of the West. Talk black to me, somebody. So you don't want to go in threatening 100% tariffs. You ought to be threatening not to cause damage to other countries, so that it would never have been a reason for them to even consider alternative financial means in the first place. The United States is the one that did that, and that's instigated that and imposed economic sanctions on multiple nations around the planet that forced their hand into coming up with an alternative method. They didn't decide to do this by osmosis. Talk black to me, somebody. Now, very, very briefly, as I mentioned to you a minute ago, I wanted to briefly reference this article from the New York Times, where I'm referencing this one because the United States now, prior to Trump taking office, guess what we decided to do? Headline: China bans rare mineral exports to the U.S. The move escalates supply chain warfare and comes a day after the Biden administration expanded curbs on the sale of advanced American technology to China. Are y'all listening? China said on Tuesday that it would begin banning the export of several rare minerals to the United States, an escalation of the tech war between the world's two biggest powers. The move comes a day after the Biden administration tightened Chinese access to advanced American technology. The ban signals Beijing's willingness to engage in supply chain warfare by blocking the export of important components used to make valuable products like weaponry and semiconductors. Sales of gallium, germanium, antimony, and so-called superherd materials to the United States will be halted immediately on the grounds that they have dual military and civilian uses, China's Ministry of Commerce said. The export of graphite would also be subject to stricter review. China is central to many global supply chains, but it generally refrained from clamping down on its own exports during the first Trump administration, preferring instead to take more limited actions like buying soybeans from Brazil instead of the United States. But senior Chinese officials are worried that the president-elect Donald J. Trump plans more stringent policies during his coming term in office. Mr. Trump has promised to put heavy tariffs on goods from China and further sever the trading relationship between the countries. The move on Tuesday, one of the most aggressive steps China has taken to counter increasingly restrictive policies from the United States government, could foreshadow more economic conflict as Mr. Trump enters the White House. So, family, the one thing that both the Republicans and Democrats agree on is beating up on China. Now, we're not sitting here talking about that China's perfect in any way, but their economic and financial flex is unmatched and undeniable, and it's inextricably connected to the American society. So it's outrageous. A lot of the censorship stuff that we've been engaged in, a lot of the stuff that we claim China was doing, is actually connected to the fact that they're more advanced than us technologically, and we're behind schedule, and we're jealous, and we're hating, and we're just trying to slow up the Chinese government. With all of the issues that we already have with people in that region of the world, let's just tell the truth, America. You're hating and you're jealous. And those of us that actually follow and study geopolitics, we know and recognize that's exactly what's behind a lot of the stuff that we claim that the Chinese are doing. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it, but I would just caution Donald Trump, don't you come up in here trying to act like, you missed to save America. And we're already talking about how high inflation is and all this other kind of stuff. And you're coming up in here unnecessarily starting this economic war. That's the problem. That's a bipartisan issue that's absolutely diabolical. Talk black to me, somebody. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. Be sure to check out my platform at VickiDillard.tv, as well as my school at VickiPlanet.com. That's VICKIPlanet.com, VickiPlanet.com. I talk about high-level spiritual principles. It doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter what your spiritual background is. The principles that I teach are universal spiritual principles, so it's a fit for anybody. Your life will never be the same. The ancients said that my people perish for lack of knowledge. So if you want to take it to the next level, join my school today at VickiPlanet.com. I can't wait to see you again.